Islam, Shalom, Hola, Aloha, Bonjour, Assalamu Alaikum, Osio. It's your brother Zach Bay, Indigenous American Moor, coming to you live in full effect. Like, share, subscribe to my channel. Hit the notification bell down below so you can be notified whenever I'm dropping new content. Leave a comment and interact with me. Thank you. I really do appreciate your viewership. Let's jump into another one. Strange events in October during the month of Ramadan. A few things planned for next month. A few things, for November. Definitely is going to get pretty interesting with the election coming up and everything. I want to speak a little bit on there's a protest, like a strike planned for the trucking industry, pretty much following the strategy that the port workers did at the beginning of this month, October. So the truckers plan to do a protest for better wages, things of that nature, on November 1st, 2024. So that's something to be aware of, to look out for, just in case, it slows up the transportation line, things coming, shipments and loads coming from the ports to all the establishments and stores and stuff like that. So that's something to look out for, along with the election. I was speaking to someone online yesterday, and they were telling me how they think that it's going to get really crazy during election times. Just because all the rhetoric that's going on with presidential candidate VP Kamala Harris and presidential candidate Donald Trump. So very, very interesting. It's going to be a lot unfolding. I wanted to speak on, there was a international protest that was planned on, I want to say the 25th of October. And it was a protest internationally in regards to protesting Israel. So it was going on social media. It made the rounds on social media that internationally, so overseas and here domestically, that people were going to protest at Israel facilities, U.S. Israel facilities, embassies, any kind of facilities that's connected to Israel and the United States. So what caught my attention about that is the Department of Homeland Security issued a warning, almost kind of like a national advisory for the international protest that was planned on October 25th. So it was making the rounds on social media, and the advisor pretty much said that anybody at those facilities to be aware, any kind of government officials, be aware that this protest is planned, and that they used information that they collected from social media to see that was trending, and that could potentially be a problem. My issue is about that is, that's just like, they pretty much told us that they're using that for surveillance to potentially halt, cease, stop, prevent protests en masse. So potentially shadow banning or blocking messages, or stifling the outreach of people who are trying to get a message out there and become aware. So, they issued that national advisory. And I want to say that they issued the advisory on the 24th, but the protest was planned for the 25th. So that was a little concerning. So I'm like, all right, so they pretty much, just told on themselves, or they just confirmed with what a lot of people have been saying, that, they're just using, that the alphabet organizations are using social media to pretty much, I wouldn't even say spy on, pretty much just collect data and information, information warfare on the public and society en masse. So if any kind of protest, any kind of planned demonstration is ever organized using any type of social media, the X platform, Twitter, Instagram, things of that nature, if it's ever used, the government is pretty much just going to be collecting that data, and they're going to be intercepting all forms of communication when it comes to that. So you might as well be prepared and be aware, right? I wanted to speak on Donald Trump pretty much said, like, it was pretty much big news that he was planning on canceling income tax, right? That's a really big issue here in the United States. The citizenry, the nationals, anybody who has a tax identification number, anybody who pays taxes here, and who doesn't have, different exemption statuses, or who's in a very, very low bracket with different tax protections and havens, like being a business owner, corporations, and things of that nature. You're pretty much being taxed to death. If you are an independent, like employee, if you're an independent contractor, if you work for yourself, if you're a sole proprietor, the taxes for that category of taxpayer, they get taxed to death. So anybody who's working a job, 9 to 5 every day, 40 hours a week, 50 hours a week, 60 hours a week, and you're independent, you're individual, single status, hey, you're getting taxed the most. And right after that are people who are sole proprietor ownerships of businesses. They're the next highest tax bracket, and then following those would be corporations and other entities. So that's very, very concerning. But the fact that Trump is saying that he might actually, try to do away with income tax federally, that's refreshing, and that's something new, So if he's saying things just to shake up the narrative, just to give people something new to speak about, something that hasn't been done, hey, it's definitely it definitely makes you put your feathers up. It definitely makes you listen and take a look and really, try to read between the lines. He also mentioned that he wanted to do away with taxes for tips. So anybody who works in the hospitality industry, food industry, delivery drivers, anybody who gets tips in any way, shape, or form, along with their wages, he wants to do away with a tax that, for tips, along with, the federal income tax. Hey, I really think that's something, there's definitely something to keep an eye on. Along with those, all right, so along with his plan to do away with income tax, in order to replace that or to go back to what we originally had here, he wants to bring back tariffs. All right, so tariffs are what the government uses, like pretty much its leverage, in order to get finance from other nations who want to do business here in America. So like importing and exporting, or just doing business in a certain type of industry, shipping jobs overseas, working internationally. Tariffs would be imposed on different nations whose companies want to do business here in America, or companies who are offshore, overseas, who are importing and exporting back here to America. They're just going to be taxed heavily, and tariffs will be collected again from nations who want to do business here in America, in order to replace what the citizenry pays in federal income tax, which is unlawful, by the way. No taxation without proper representation. It seems like that's completely done away with here in America. But I just wanted to speak on a few strange events happening this time. Once again, it's your brother Zach Day. Peace.